Hello everyone, and welcome back to Warships Blitz with Terry. Today, we're going to look at a very specific, mechanic or something, way of playing the game, and that's how to steer your ship. Now you can say, Terry, what the hell are you talking about? We know how to steer a ship. It goes forward, reverse, left, and right. Surprisingly, there's a little bit more to that. So let's take a look. Now, I came to this actually not from the Giulio Cesare, but from a very different ship. Let me just quickly clear my filters here, and I'll show you which one that was the Texas. So when I did the video about the Texas, I looked at the historical camouflages, and I actually looked at the Lone Star, and I was like, oh, this actually increases the traverse speed, which I've like over there. That sounds bad. We don't want to increase traverse speed. We want to decrease traverse speed. And somebody in the comments pointed out that actually I was wrong. Please do that whenever I'm wrong, and I am wrong. That actually what it does increase is your max traverse speed, which is good. So if we look at the if we look at the max traverse speed, I can't actually do this because I'm in my private account and I don't want to spend 2,000 gold to buy the camo for this ship, but it does increase your turn time. And it increases the degrees per second of your max traverse speed. So I started discussing, saying, hey, how does this actually work? And the theory that he eventually came up with was, turn time is probably the time it takes to turn the rudder, as in the steering wheel on the ship. Now, the big spiky turning around thing that makes the actual rudders, the little slaty things that make the ship turn around. That thing. So then how does this correlate? Is this like I was wondering, is this like a standardized value so we can compare ships? Is it for a 45-degree turn or a 90-degree turn? How long does it take for that to do? I don't know. So I figured, let's try and find out. And that's precisely that. And and I've got the Italian port in port. That's why we were looking at the Giulio Cesare. So the Giulio Cesare has a 5.7 degrees per second traverse and has an 8-second turn time. So I figured, all right, let's go and try and find out what that means and experiment a little. So I got myself set up in the training room, and I'm just going half ahead here. So we're doing about 13 knots. And I'm going to do a turn hard left. And we'll see how long that takes. So here we go, off to the turn. And that takes about 5.5 seconds. So that's not it. Which means if it's not that, it must be the full turn. So I was trying that next. So I'm putting her all the way into left and then go. And we will see how long it takes to get all the way back straight. And then all the way to the right. And there we go, and that's 8 seconds. So a full turn, the turn time is the time it takes for the rudder to go from hard left to hard right. That's what that means. So it is indicative. It does take a little bit longer than half the time to get from straight ahead to full on that one side, but it is indicative towards how quick it is to get the rudder to turn around. It is not necessarily helpful in terms of telling you how fast the ship itself turns, because that is literally measured in, degrees per second. So how many degrees per second does the ship turn? So how many seconds would it take a ship to turn, let's say, 90 degrees? You just have to divide 9, you just have to, calculate it. So I figured, okay, since we've got that covered, and this gives a little bit more clarity, what else is important about steering? Well, there are situations where you need to stop the ship. And specifically if you know or think that there are torpedoes coming. So you've got two speeds forward, and you've got one speed into reverse. But how does the acceleration work? So let's put her up forward into full speed. And once we've reached max speed, then we will just drop her into, so we're doing 26.9 knots and we're just taking the speed out. So let's see how long it takes for the ship to come to a full stop once we actually basically take the foot off of the gas. And she's still slowing down, she's still slowing gently down. And it takes 21 seconds for her from full speed, if you take the speed out, to come to a full stop. Now, there's more we can do. We don't have, this is one way to stop the ship. And of course, you know, the faster you stop the ship, the better chance you have of avoiding torpedoes that are dropped in your path. So let's bring her up to full speed again. And let's do this a little bit differently this time. So we were almost back to, what was it, 26.9 knots? Okay, so we're at full speed. And now we're putting her in reverse. Because if you, theoretically, if this is modeled this way, if you're turning the screws of the ship the other way around, it should, well, try to propel the ship backwards, which should decrease the amount of time it takes for her to come to a complete halt. And it does, by about 4 seconds. We're now taking 17 seconds, roundabout, to get her to a full stop if we just slam her into reverse. So that's a good thing. So don't just don't not accelerate anymore, but actively brake the ship by accelerating in the other direction. That is rather important if you are dealing with torpedoes. But that's not all we can do. We can, because if a ship goes forward, well, it has a certain maximum speed, but if a ship starts turning, given its current direction of motion, you will expose more of a ship to the water and in the direction that you're going, which means you have a higher water resistance, which means that if you start turning, you can actually slow your ship down. So let's put her in reverse and pull a hard left turn. And let's see how long it takes for the ship to effectively come to a stop here. And this has taken, well, round about 14 seconds, plus we've moved the ship out of the way. So if you compare just not accelerating to putting her in reverse and pulling a hard turn, the latter is the one that drops the most speed and drops it the fastest. Plus, you are reducing your surface towards any incoming torpedoes, because if you just keep sailing in a straight line, you're showing your broadside to the torpedoes, giving the torpedoes a better chance. Whereas if you turn into the torpedoes or away from the torpedoes, you give yourself a better chance to, well, not take all of them. So that's just something to be aware of. Also, if you sail in a full turn, you will notice that your speed is not the same. And that has the exact same reason as what I just described. So let's put her in a full left turn, and she drops speed down to, 20.2 knots. Now this also means that when you stop being in a full turn, because your ship is slower, you will accelerate again, which is relatively important when you are shooting at someone who pulls this maneuver, right? Because now we're going straight and she goes back up to 26.9 knots. So if somebody comes out of a full turn, they will accelerate. If you're trying to torpedo someone and you're trying to estimate where the ship is, well, take that into account. If they are in a turn, they are going to accelerate out of the turn. They're going to be faster once they straighten out the ship again. So I just figured these were things that, I really just wanted to show and wanted to give you a little bit of an idea about. Now, the next question, are there any other ways to stop a ship? So let's put her full ahead, and we're steering towards this island. Let's see what happens when we hit the island. Now, if you've played or watched World of Warships PC, you know that if you beach on an island, you have to reverse off the beach. This is not quite the same in Blitz. So let's see what happens. We're sailing at full speed, 26.9 knots, and we're sailing straight into the enemy island. Well, actually, it's an allied island because it's extremely useful. For once, it shields me from detection, it shields me from incoming fire, and I can use it to change my speed very abruptly if I need to. Because what happens is, well, I'm gonna have to wait for the island to eventually make its way over to us. What happens is, if you hit straight into an island. We'll see that in a second. Counting down. 3, 2, 1, and there we go. We have stopped and our speed has reduced to half speed. Well, obviously we're not sailing at half speed because there's an island in the way. So we have abruptly stopped. But we don't need to reverse out of the island. We can scrape around the island pretty much. And as long as we are in contact with the island, our speed is at half speed and it is capped, even if we are at full throttle. And again, we'll bump into the island here. So observe the speed. We are at full speed, but as long as I'm in contact with the island, I will only sail at half speed. So there are some very important factors here. First of all, if you need to dodge something like torpedoes, and you have a handy island in the way, you can use that to very, very quickly and abruptly bring your ship to a complete halt. Also, if you have managed to run yourself unintentionally into an island, you need to detach from the island to get your full speed again, because you are sitting duck while you're while you've beached yourself. So again, assume that there's something very nasty. We see it in the last second. There's a destroyer, and we're expecting there to be torpedoes coming around that corner right in front of us. And there's no way that we could possibly outturn or dodge anything. So if torpedoes are coming, he's seen us, we've seen him. Boink, we run ourselves into the island, and the ship has stopped. And then we can decide what we want to do next. We probably want to put our nose again into the destroyer. So even if he sends even if he still has torpedoes ready, that we can dodge. But be aware that if you are scraping along the island, you can only accelerate to half speed. You do need to get yourself detached from the island, because anybody, you can't also turn really because there's an island in the way. Anybody shooting at you shoots at your flat broadside. So as you see, steering a ship might have a couple more things to it than just going forward, backward, left and right. That's it for today. Thanks everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye.